All right, so this, of course, is the RovyVon Angel Eyes E200u. Now, I have actually, in fact, done this review. I did it about a week into playing with it, but I felt it needed a little bit more time, kind of think a little bit more about how this light applies to an everyday carry scenario and where it works best. Now that I think I've understand a little better, I think it's finally time to talk about it and give you the full rundown. So if you want to know what this light is all about, stay tuned. All right, so quickly, let's go over some basic features of the Angel Eyes E200u. So first of all, it's a much smaller flashlight than it may appear when you look at the websites. It has a double-sided clip that can be reversible, and it has this kind of rail system. It's kind of a unique design. I haven't seen anything like that, kind of like a Picatinny rail, if you will. It uses a USB Type-C charging, which is very, very quick, and the battery indicator, which you can access with a single press, you'd be amazed how fast this thing fills up. Its maximum output is 1500 lumens from the two front lights, and of course it has side light features, which we'll get in just a second. Those features are accessed with this button on the side. Its waterproof rating is IP7, I believe, and really, really well done as far as the actual physical aspects of this flashlight. Because it is the form factor it is, it's not going to roll around on the table. You know, it has the ability to be clipped to a hat and it laying flat. You know, you can use it in a couple different ways. So all of that is really good. Where things get a little weird is with the UI. So let's run through that. So first off, we'll start with the front lights. Double click turn on. Click one time to go through the different settings and back to low. I believe it comes in on the next highest setting, and if I turn it off, it should come back in on that setting if I remember correctly. Yes, it does. So it has memory for that, so it will come back in on the setting that you left last. Now the side lights, and I'm actually going to cover this with the plate, which is an added feature and a very clever one when I turn this on. So there's two ways to turn on this front panel. You can hold press to turn it on, or you can double click and it will also turn it on. One thing I do think is kind of strange about that is there's two ways to access the light. That is probably the one that's going to give you the most concern as far as being exposed to your skin, etc. So I would like to, in the future, have a much more refined UI for the side button at the very least. That's one criticism I'm going to give for this. And there aren't many specifically about this flashlight. However, it has a kind of a head scratching kind of purpose. You're like, what is this really for? And we're going to get into that in just a few minutes. So the cover slides on, slides off, kind of locks in place. This is going to block the harmful version of the UV radiation that comes out of these two different emitters. You can actually see there's two different LEDs on the top. One emits UVA and the other emits UVC. And because of that, it can do two things. When it's got the cover, or when it's off, one of the wavelengths, the one that is not harmful, will turn on. Will let you look at cache and check for bodily fluid. You get the idea. But the harmful radiation, the one that actually purifies things, that will not penetrate this piece of plastic, and which I think is a pretty awesome. It's kind of a really nice design. When you take it off, now what you get is you have access to both wavelengths of light. And given them enough time, the area that you can see the purple around the edge, which kind of showing off that other wavelength, when you have it on long enough, it will in fact clean and sanitize an area, killing all biological life in that area. And I would imagine even discolor things over time. There's a lot of videos you can watch showing how this light can be used for various different purposes. But that's how this light works. and it only has one brightness setting on those lights. Now, let's see, where are we? This is the part that I needed more time to figure out. What is this light for? I couldn't quite dial it all in, but I think I have a pretty good idea now. And a lot of it has to do with the combination of functions that are in this light. It has IP7, so it's relatively waterproof. It has ability to kill bacterial species, but I don't think it's going to be particularly effective for COVID-19 unless you'd like to wait 2 minutes before drinking your cup of coffee as you're sanitizing it, walking around the cup of coffee like a crazy person. I don't think that's going to be likely. And people aren't going to wait 2 minutes to go through a door because they're trying to sanitize a doorknob. That's not realistic. Where it is realistic, though, is in the kind of situation where it becomes a matter of survival, because you can use UV light to purify drinking water. And there's actually filters out, there's actually specifically designed filters that use UV light for this exact purpose already. So now on top of that functionality, you have access to a 1500 lumen main light, and with triple click, you will access both the tactical strobe and also the SOS strobe. So you will be able to signal with this light. It's very, very powerful, and it will certainly work well in that capacity. Let's see. That's really the important thing. So I think a lot of people look at this light, they see it on Amazon, they go, yeah, I can use this. I can quickly wave my wand like I'm a Jedi Master and kill all the viruses out there. It's not going to work like that, guys. It doesn't work like that. It takes time for this thing to do its job, okay? And that's not on the light. That's just the way it is. You have to be reasonably, you have to have the right expectations with this kind of light. What is incredibly impressive, like I said, is both the output, the size, and the combination of functions. I gotta attaboy the RovyVon team for doing such a unique light. All the Angel Eyes series, Angel Eyes lights, I should say, have unique kind of combinations of functions. And this one is no exception. I definitely can see being the flashlight that I charge up and leave in my emergency bag or like a go kit, because it has a lot of the right functions. It can work with the same charger that my phone does, and it charges really fast, as well as being really bright. So it has a lot of the right stuff. And if I had to take a chance on drinking something and I wasn't sure about it, I know that I could, use this light and make myself feel a little bit better about my chances of not getting sick. And for that, I think this has a very clear niche, at least in my head, as being an emergency flashlight for something in a backpack where you're going. Maybe you don't have a filtration system. Maybe you don't have an extra metal bottle to boil water, but you can actually use this light. It's not going to take care of chemicals or heavy metals or anything like that, but it will, in fact, kill anything living when given enough time. So really good job for RovyVon. Just kind of work on that UI just a little bit. What I've noticed with them is they have always continued to make improvements on next generations. So what they did with the smaller Aurora series, they just blew it out of the water with the second generation. It just annihilated their initial one. They just do such a good job upping themselves and continuing to improve. I have no doubt we'll be seeing improvements to this. You can already see that they're moving towards the USB Type-C, which is very exciting to start seeing, UV Type-C in their 2.5 or 2 model. I don't know, this is the A28 or the A5X. Like basically when they start going from the micro USB to USB Type-C, I think it'll end up working so much better. So I'm definitely very thankful to be able to review this light. I want to say thank you to RovyVon for sending it to me. And I I just don't want anyone to get the impression that this light is designed for something it's not. It does have a great niche. I just not sure that you want to buy this without first understanding what that niche is. So I hope this was helpful to you, and yeah, you guys have a great night.